I moved to an old house in the country. It was my grandmother's house. She passed away a few months ago, and now I had to live here alone. I was sad and didn't know what to do. The house was big and old. The garden was very messy. There were many weeds, and the flowers were gone. I looked at the garden and thought about my grandmother. She loved this garden. She always said that flowers could make people feel better. I didn't know if that was true, but I wanted to try. I started to clean the garden, but it was hard. The weeds were everywhere. I felt alone. My life was like the garden, full of things that needed to be fixed. I didn't know where to start. Everything seemed difficult. But when I was cleaning, I saw something strange. There was a small flower growing in the middle of all the weeds. It was beautiful. It made me feel a little better. I wondered how the flower survived in such a messy garden. Maybe it could show me how to make things better. I decided to take care of the garden, just like my grandmother would have. I would try to make the flowers grow again. Maybe, just maybe, it would help me feel better too. Every day, I spent time in the garden. I tried to remove the weeds and clear the space. It was hard work, and I didn't know much about gardening. Some days, I felt like giving up. The garden was so big, and I was so tired. But every time I looked at the small flower, I felt like I had to keep going. One afternoon, as I was working near the old wooden bench, I noticed something. There was a letter under the bench. It was old, with a little dirt on it, but it was still there. I picked it up and opened it carefully. It was a letter from my grandmother. She had written it many years ago. In the letter, she talked about the garden. She said that it was a place of peace and healing. She wrote that the flowers helped her heal after difficult times. She said the garden could teach patience, and with patience, good things would come. The letter made me feel strange. It was like my grandmother was speaking to me. She had written about healing, and I needed that. I didn't know if the garden could heal me, but I decided to try. I felt like I needed to listen to her advice. Maybe, if I gave the garden the patience it needed, I could heal too. I looked at the flowers again. They seemed to say, "Keep going." I took a deep breath and decided that I would work harder. The garden was not just a place for flowers, it was a place for me to heal. As the days passed, I started to see small changes in the garden. The weeds were slowly disappearing, and some of the flowers began to grow again. It wasn't easy, and I still felt tired sometimes, but every little change made me feel hopeful. I started to believe that maybe I could do this. Maybe I could fix the garden, and maybe I could fix myself, too. One afternoon, while I was working, I saw someone walking down the path toward the house. It was a woman I had never seen before. She had short brown hair and a kind smile. She stopped by the gate and said, "Hello, I'm Anna. I live in the village nearby." I saw you working in the garden and thought I could help. I smiled back and said, "Hi, I'm Maria. I'm just starting to fix this garden. It's a lot of work." Anna nodded. "I know. I've done some gardening before. If you want, I can give you some tips." I was surprised. "That would be great, thank you." Anna came inside, and we started talking about the garden. She showed me how to take care of the plants. We talked about flowers, soil, and the best time to plant. As we worked, we also talked about life. Anna told me she had lost someone very close to her, too. She said the garden helped her heal. It made me feel better to know that I wasn't the only one who had gone through tough times. We laughed together and shared our stories. Anna was kind, and I felt happy to have a new friend. After that day, Anna came by often. She helped me with the garden, but she also helped me see that I wasn't alone. I wasn't just fixing the garden, I was also starting to open up to new people and new possibilities. And every time I worked, I felt a little bit better. The flowers were growing, and so was I. As the weeks went by, the garden changed more and more. The flowers were brighter, and the air around the house felt fresher. Anna and I spent a lot of time together, working and talking. She was always patient with me, teaching me more about plants and how to take care of them. One day, as we were sitting on the old bench, Anna turned to me and said, "Maria, I know this garden means a lot to you. It's not just about flowers, is it?" I looked at the flowers, then at Anna. "No, it's not just about the flowers. It's about healing, I think. I feel like this garden is helping me get better, like I'm starting to feel like myself again." Anna smiled softly. "I understand. When I lost my brother, I felt the same way. I didn't know how to keep going, but the garden helped me. It helped me remember that life can grow again even after pain." I nodded, feeling a deep connection to her words. It was strange, but sitting there in the garden with Anna, I realized that I wasn't just fixing the flowers. I was fixing myself, too. The pain from my past didn't disappear, but it started to feel a little less heavy. I could talk about it without feeling completely broken. From then on, Anna and I worked together even more. We spent hours talking about our lives, our dreams, and the future. The garden became our place of peace. It wasn't just a place to work, it was a place to heal, to share, and to grow. With Anna by my side, I began to believe that maybe I could be happy again. Maybe there was more to life than just the pain I had felt for so long. I wasn't alone anymore. I had found a friend, and I was starting to find myself again, too. One bright morning, I woke up early and looked out of the window. The garden was full of life. Flowers in all colors were blooming, and the air smelled fresh. It felt like the garden was finally alive again, and so was I. I had spent so much time and energy on the garden, and now it was beautiful. But it wasn't just the garden that had changed. I had changed, too. Anna was there with me, as usual. We were working on the last part of the garden, planting new flowers and arranging them carefully. As we worked, Anna looked at me and said, "Maria, look at what you've done. The garden is beautiful now, just like you. You've grown so much since we started." I smiled at her words. "I couldn't have done it without you, Anna. You helped me see that sometimes things take time. But if you keep going, they can get better." We both stood there for a moment, looking at the flowers. It was amazing to see how far the garden had come. And it felt like the start of something new in my life. The garden was not just a place of work anymore, it was a symbol of change. I had learned that healing takes patience, and with time, everything can grow. I looked at the flowers and thought about everything I had learned. The garden was ready now, but I wasn't finished. There was always more to do, always more to learn. I knew I had to keep going, not just in the garden, but in life, too. I had a lot of hope now. I had learned that no matter how hard things seem, there is always a way forward. I turned to Anna and said, "Thank you for everything. I feel like I can finally start a new chapter." Anna smiled and nodded. "You already have, Maria. You've already started." As we finished our work in the garden, I felt proud. But I also knew there was more for me to do. I needed to keep practicing what I had learned. I wanted to share the love and patience I found here with others. So, I have a challenge for you. Think of one small thing you can do today, something that will bring you a little bit of peace. Maybe it's something as simple as planting a flower or taking a quiet walk. Do it, and remember that every small step counts. With patience, everything can grow. As I stood there, looking at the blooming flowers, I felt ready for whatever came next. The garden had healed me, and now it was my turn to keep growing. The flowers were a symbol of new beginnings, and I was ready to make the most of this fresh start.